More on this. Let's bring in South Carolina Congresswoman Nancy Mace. She serves on the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. And the question about police reform, and now it's back front and center. Senator Tim Scott making another run for that. Of course, he's your fellow South Carolinian. But I want to play for you some sound from Cori Bush. She's a congresswoman who says they don't want to compromise. Watch.
We compromise on so much, we compromise, we die. We compromise, we die. We compromise, we die. I didn't come to Congress to compromise on what could keep us alive.
Nancy Mace, your thoughts this morning on that?
Well, it's very sad to see the violence across the country, whether it's the devastating murder of George Floyd or Walter Scott or Dante Wright. I mean, there are countless others, and we do need reforms in this country. We need to acknowledge that. But the radical left, the Cori Bushes of the world, the radical left, not only do they want to defund the police, but they want to abolish the police. And I can't think of a worse idea as we're seeing spikes in violence and violent acts and attacks against citizens and also law enforcement officers right now. I think it's a terrible idea. We know it's a terrible idea, and it's not good for our country. We should be investing more in our law enforcement so we have more qualified candidates, better recruits, and we get them better training. We're seeing that training or lack of training be a real issue in some of these cases, and get them the mental health counseling that they need, because they're putting their lives on their line every single day that they put on their badge.
Seems like something might be moving in Congress. Karen Bass with Chris Wallace on Fox News Sunday.
We're going to have to negotiate that, but the intent of this is we have to find a way to hold officers accountable.
Are you willing to blow up this deal over that issue?
I don't know if I'm willing to blow up the deal. I don't consider that blowing it up. But we do have to look at ways. Now, if Lindsey Graham and Tim Scott can show us some other way to hold officers accountable, because this has been going on for just decades.
I mean, the good news there is that she did not say no. Do you see some possibility here?
Absolutely. I mean, there are many Republicans. We care about this issue. We've seen the crisis across our country, even in some of us in my district, in Charleston, we've seen the devastating impact of some of these violent events. I mean, these are issues that I know as a Republican, as a state lawmaker, before I came to Congress, I worked on criminal justice reform and prison reform and issues that are very, very important. Senator Tim Scott has been a leader on these issues. But right now in Congress, everything is divided. Everything is partisan. The left doesn't want to work with Republicans, and that's the issue that we have today. We're here, we want to listen, we want to be helpful, we want to work together, we're willing to do it, but it's their way or no way at all right now.
We are coming up on the 100 days for President Biden. He will give a big speech on Wednesday night to a joint session of Congress, although a smaller group than usual. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez might have surprised some people by her assessment of President Biden so far. Take a look at this.
I mean, one thing that I will say is that I do think that the Biden administration and President Biden has definitely exceeded expectations that progressives had. I'll be frank, I think a lot of us expected a much more conservative administration.
That's her take. What about your expectations so far this 100 days?
Well, her endorsement of the Biden administration, you don't have to say anything else. I mean, there's been more damage done in the first 100 days of the Biden administration than I thought possible in 4 years. And I have a front row ticket to seeing the dismantling, the taking away of our freedom and the dismantling of our Constitution. And you see it in H.R. 1. You're seeing it with D.C. statehood. You're seeing it with the Green New Deal, the trillions of dollars in new spending. And they're about to put on the hardworking American people the largest tax hike in American history in the middle of a pandemic. So she's spot on. This administration has been more far left than I ever thought possible, and they're doing more damage. And it's only going to hurt us coming out of the pandemic, not just in the short term, but in the long term for years to come.
All right. Congresswoman Nancy Mace, thank you for joining us this morning.